They are young and they vote far-right. More and more young people in Europe are turning to right-wing and nationalist parties. A trend that has been recently evident in several elections in Europe.
Being right-wing is not like an extraordinary thing. It's actually just being normal.
Especially to defend our identity.
So that Germany gets back on track.
What is behind this shift to the right? What motivates young people to vote for right-wing extremists? We travel across Europe to look for answers. We are in Rome. It's where fascism first emerged at the beginning of the 20th century. Since then, Italy has been no stranger to radical politics. Since 2022, the country has been governed by a right-wing nationalist coalition. We meet Filippo. He is 20 years old, a student of history.
I remember that the fact that generated me interest about politics was the first election of Donald Trump.
Oh, no, really?
Yes, on
Okay.
2016, because I remember that all the people at the time talk about this fact as a negative surprise. So this generated my first interest about politics. I started with a more liberal position, and with the passing of the times I become to a more revolutionary position.
Filippo takes us to a district in Rome, Esposizione Universale di Roma. The Italian dictator Benito Mussolini commissioned its construction in the 1930s.
This is one of the most beautiful, for me, buildings of this zone.
Filippo describes himself as a revolutionary. He says Italy must become a strong nation again, that immigration must be stopped and the power of the elites must be broken.
For me, don't exist anymore right and left. You have the globalists to one side and the anti-globalists to other side, especially to defend our identity. In a global world is something very difficult because the government, the newspaper especially, try to destroy this idea of cultural, also religious identity.
These are conspiracy theories that Virginia Nouva also believes in. The 20-year-old likes to speak about strong women and the big role they played during the fascist era. Feminism, she says, has passed its point of usefulness. Virginia takes us into the headquarters of Forza Nouva, an ultra-nationalist neo-fascist party. They are getting ready here for a protest march that's planned in the coming days.
I joined Forza Nouva between 2020 and 2021 after the dynamics of the street clashes because of COVID. At the time when the strong popular objection to the COVID passport rules was being silenced, Forza Nouva was the only movement that raised its head and made a real form of social protest.
The rally meant to bring together different groups from across Europe seems rather small. We are surprised that Virginia has no problem taking to the streets along with well-known right-wing extremists, that she seems committed to fascism, an ideology that is defined as ultra-nationalist and anti-liberal elitism. We meet up with Professor Klaus Hurrelmann, a renowned youth researcher and author of numerous studies on the topic. Hurrelmann says it's stunning how little historical awareness some young people have.
Young people don't feel right-wing because they think, I have problems. My generation has big problems. We can't get into the economy, the job market is confusing, digitalization is rolling over us. We feel we have lost control of our lives due to COVID. It is this mixture, and they need an answer for that.
But why are the answers offered by right-wing extremists proving so popular? We want to get to the bottom of the matter and attend a dinner party in Amerongen in the Netherlands. It's hosted by Em Albiyati, the daughter of Kurdish immigrants. She leads a right-wing youth organization. It was young voters who helped the right-wing populist camp win the recent parliamentary election in the Netherlands.
We really love the country, we really like our history, our identity, and we like the people here, and we want to feel the cohesion. And it's now becoming less and less. You don't know who your neighbors are anymore, people don't really talk to each other, whereas before you had more of a community feeling. We want to bring the community feeling back.
Most of them are members of a party called Forum for Democracy. They are against the EU and the euro. They claim the Dutch identity must be protected from Islamization. Eam has also invited right-wing populists from other parts of Europe.
So Nigel Farage is one of the presenters.
I understand that you're from Spain.
Correct.
Correct. What part of Spain?
Yes.
Barcelona. Catalonia.
Lots of Moroccans there.
Sorry?
Lots of Moroccans there. In Spain.
Isn't it? Because all the Moroccans I know in Holland, they also speak Spanish because they came through Spain first, lived there for 10 years, and then moved over to a Germanic country.
What's striking is how much contempt the dinner guests speak with when talking about immigrants, including those who are Dutch citizens.
I think if people who have a Dutch citizenship but still do not feel at home, still feel homesick, which there are many, and this is something you see in our streets, the shops with the Turkish names, they speak their own language. It is an expression of not being at home in the Netherlands. So I do think even those people could be motivated to leave.
Legally they are Dutch, of course, and some may feel Dutch or whatever, but of course they are Syrians. If I move to China, I'm not going to be Chinese. So let's not kid ourselves with that.
The young right-wing populists are calling for an ethnically homogeneous society. They reject diversity. Eam al-Biyati stands fully behind it, even though her parents are Kurds. But they have integrated 100%, she tells us. She says she doesn't have to support mass migration just because of her background. Eam promotes her beliefs on social media, including conspiracy theories.
Left-wing parties see mass immigration as a way to import new, lifelong voters, ensuring they remain in power through demographical change.
When we meet for a coffee in Amsterdam, Eam says it was through social media that she first connected with right-wing ideology.
I think it's because of social media. People are less afraid to think what they think because they see that other people on social media are willing to talk about stuff or show stuff or do sports, and it's okay to be a man, it's okay to be white, and then you're okay with being challenged on the idea you had and the new idea that presents to you.
Nowadays, social media plays a crucial role in the political discourse, according to Klaus Hurrelmann, the youth researcher from Germany. He says the fact that right-wing parties are present there is their strength.
The young generation is definitely political. They are guided by their needs and their interests, but to a high extent, young people are digital and communicate this way. This is almost as important to them as the content itself, and that's why political parties have to have a digital presence.
In Germany, it's the far-right populist Alternative for Germany, or AfD for short, that's particularly successful on social media. 16% of those under 24 voted for the party in the recent European elections. We traveled to Hamburg in northern Germany and end up in the middle of a protest. Demonstrators are trying to prevent an AfD event from taking place. Sections of the party have been classified as right-wing extremists, undermining Germany's democratic order. Nazis get out, protesters are shouting. We are allowed into the venue, but party officials have asked us to film the rally participants only from behind. The atmosphere is not exactly friendly. At first, nobody wants to talk to us on camera.
I have become very critical of the media in recent years, therefore I'd rather not.
Others tell us that they fear problems at school or at work if it comes out that they sympathize with the AfD. Finally, a 17-year-old agrees to be interviewed.
I'm particularly interested in easing the burden on citizens. I have noticed in our household that the gas bill is far too high, as are electricity and other bills. It's all far too expensive. Citizens must be relieved. And what I'm also interested in, since 2022, the war must end. I don't like the way our politicians are dealing with it, burning billions of euros in tax money to promote the killing and wars. We must ensure peace be restored fast.
However, most other parties say that a quick peace deal in Ukraine would primarily play into the hands of the aggressor Russia. Fear of war, fear of more migration, fear of crime, that's what this rally is about. On stage, Tino Chrupalla, one of the AfD leaders, rails against the federal government's policy.
I'm saying no money or guns, but peace. It is not our war. We are not at war with Russia, and we should, with our historical responsibility, stay out of this war.
Simple answers to complex issues. In the upcoming federal elections at the end of February, the AfD could become the second strongest force. After the speeches, some people line up to get a photo with Chrupalla. The young man we spoke with is there too. Mohammad Ebrahimzadeh's parents are from Uzbekistan, but he seems quite fond of the AfD, despite some members of the party calling for the mass deportation of immigrants.
What I can say is there are black sheep in every party. However, if the chairmen implement exactly what they promise, not more or less, then I have no doubts I can trust them.
Professor Hurrelmann is not surprised that Mohammad considers the AfD a real alternative to other parties. Many young people in Europe feel the same way, he says.
I'm living in a world where my voice doesn't count, in which I am ignored as a young person. This is, according to our studies, the bitter, basic feeling that currently prevails in the young generation, and which opens the door for rash actions.
During our journey across Europe, we've learned that to get young people excited about democracy again, established parties have to take seriously what the youth feel and offer them concrete solutions.